doing this weekend is a big fusion of, the based in music with the based in food, right? And I know London's got a very big culture of food. There's the, is it Curry Lane, and there's the festivals of the food that happen. What are you like as a foodie? Is it something that you let somebody else do it for you, or you want to get stuck in when you're in the kitchen?
I like to get stuck in. One of the things I really miss when I'm traveling is not being able to cook. And I love eating in restaurants, but sometimes you just want that little morsel, that tiny bit of bread with the olive oil and so you can't have your own food. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow because you can do lots of tasting and trying out small things instead of always just having to have a huge meal. And I like informality around food, and I like eating family style, dipping into each other's plates and stuff. So it's always a challenge when we go away to find places where we can eat like that, where it's sometimes the food's incredible but the place is really formal, so you have to be all dressed up and stuffy. But to me, food is just like, I like to be at the dinner for 2 hours, and I like to talk, and I like to relax. So it is a hard thing when you're traveling to find that high quality of food, but where you can eat in a really relaxed environment.
So one of our musicians, Jay Something, say hello to Corinne Bailey Rae. There you go. He's like our obsession when it comes to music, and he's also a very big foodie. We were talking earlier about how, a music is almost like a dish, right? You compose it and you pick the colors and the flavors and all of that. And then I remembered that you had said in your interview that for you, music comes as images, right? So what happens? Can you look at a picture and start singing a song? Is that how it comes to you?
Yeah, on my most recent, I'm writing a record at the moment, and so many of the songs have come through looking at objects or looking at paintings or looking at photographs. I think when I'm writing music, I stay away from listening to other people's, because either you hear it and you think, oh, I wish I'd done that. And then you can't avoid it, and then it's in your head and you're like, oh, I'm trying to make it, but I don't want it to sound like that. So I think sometimes it's good to have that clear palette and just to draw in another sense, and drawing on the visual and drawing on other artists and other people who make in the world, but it's not to do with sound. To me that's really inspiring.
Do you feel like you have a song where you're like, this song is so underrated, people didn't listen to this song enough? Because I have one for you.
Oh, really?
No, but I want you to tell me what yours is, and then I'll tell you what mine is.
Let me think. I mean, on the last record I did, there was a few songs where I guess just because of how we put it out and maybe how we promoted it and stuff, I felt like we didn't get enough time with some. But I really love this song, Do You Ever Think of Me? And I like to get to play that live, and sometimes people say, oh, I don't know that one. And sometimes I like the hidden gems. I think singles are really important, but the landscape is changing so much in music, where it's less about like what the big radio hits, especially for an artist like me. I really like to write albums, and so if I have a song that's too slow or too long or too this or too that, I'm quite happy to have it that live there on a record and for people to discover it over time.
So my song is Breathless.
Oh, really?
I just feel like everyone should know Breathless.
Oh.
So, and I can't sing, but I try singing so hard.
Well,
and then people are like, maybe it doesn't sound like that. I'm like, it doesn't. But please download it and just listen to it. You'll hear what I'm trying to say to you.
Oh, we're going to play that tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
So I always enjoy playing that song. And it's funny, in different countries, different songs are popular as well. So I always go, when I go to a territory, I ask, what the popular song is, and sometimes what you'll play in Brazil is really different to what you'll play in Tokyo, and what you play in London is different to what you'll play in LA. It really just depends what radio stations we're picking up on what vibes at any given time. And I really like that about music, and especially about what I do. It's less driven by, this is the smash, and everything else is kind of just padding around it. I love writing songs, and I like to think that any of them could find a place in someone's heart.
You said, you listen to your body a lot, and you listen to the things that your body's whispering to you. When you started out, social media wasn't such a big craze, right? So you could kind of manage what gets to you, right? And now just everything gets to you, like everybody, how do you do that? How do you keep yourself, cocooned? Because the energy is great sometimes. I mean, you've suffered a tragedy, and that empathy and that that love that you felt from the entire world is what you say got you through. But there are times when you want to stop that now so that you can create and so you can be musical. How do you do that?
I think I'm really bad on social media and I'm always getting told off for it, but it is important for me to sort of retreat and to make work which is important to me and to not be constantly sort of listening to feedback. So, you know, sometimes if I put a photo up on Instagram or whatever, I won't be then going through like all the comments because I feel like it's so narcissistic, you know, and if it's compliments, I still think it's really strange to be like, oh, look at all these people, they really, yeah, so it's like, I might see a few things, I think, oh, that's nice, people like that picture, but I think to trawl through it and, you know, just to absorb it all and sort of believe your own hype, you know, I think that's how things go really wrong when you create a bubble for yourself and nobody wants to burst it. And similarly, you can go the other way where, you know, you look for a few comments. I remember when I first got into Instagram, you know, you never know what to post. I was like, I'm going to take a picture of my shoes. I had these like really cool, I thought they were cool. It was this in sandals. I was just like, I'm living the summer in these sandals. And people were like, yeah, you relax, enjoy yourself. And then like the third comment was from some guy who'd written, burn them. And I was like,
right now?
You know, I was like so like, because it's to your phone, you know, so it's like you've got a message from someone that you don't know them and you never sent it to. So then it was my first little lesson, like, don't get so involved in it. And that was just my shoes, you know, imagine it being like, here's a new song. So I try to, you know, I'm quite distant from all that really, and I guess because I didn't grow up with it, you know, I'm not 20, so I'm not used to it so much. I think that helps me to keep a distance, and I don't answer my phone a lot, and I don't look at my emails. I really like to just be in my own
So who
world.
do you take crit from then?
Who do I take criticism from? I guess good friends.
Yeah.
You know, I'm starting to play things to people a little bit sooner than I would before. Normally I'd just be like, oh, wait till we've like mixed the level of the strings, and now I'm a bit like, oh, it's a bit of a mess.
Okay,
I have it like the vocals loud here and quiet there, and you can't hear that bit, but what do you think? And sometimes they don't even have to say anything, but just being in the same room as people you really like, you know, you can see if they're getting into it, or you can see if they're holding back, or so there's little moments where you think, oh yeah, that section is too long, or oh, that bit is good, why haven't we used it again? Or so sometimes you can just pick up on their body language and it helps you to shape the song, or their response as well. You know, if they're like, yeah, it's really good, you think, but if they're like, well, how'd you think of that? Or, you know, so yeah, it's a big difference. We go to a hotel, and within sort of 10 hours, I was like, how did it get this way? And the suitcases explode, and there's food, and I just don't know how. So I'd like to be a bit more tidy. I'd like to be more organised. I'd like to be the sort of person that writes a thank you note.
Okay.
I actually wrote one recently, and I was like, I wish I would have got into this habit when I was a kid. You know, people are so kind to you, and you think, I must. Like, we just went to this. We just went to a show in, I think it was an European artist I've just got to know, and the man gave me a CD, and I thought, right, I'm going to send my album back to him. So that's still on my list of things to do. But you know, it's been a few weeks. It's like I want to get more organised.
Yeah. But
the fact I'm saying it on camera, that, you know, that's going to prompt me. So it's like, yeah, just be that person. You know, I love getting letters from people, and I save them. And over the years, I've got letters from, you know, Elton John and Herbie Hancock and Paul McCartney, and it's like those letters are things that I'll cherish my whole life. So I want to be that person, you know, I want to write to my favourite artists and say thanks, thank you, just out of nowhere, you know, thanks for what you've done, and thanks for changing the world, and thanks for the music that you've brought. So yeah, I want to be more like that person.